Hi, my friend. It has been a while. How have you been?
Hmm, to be honest, not that good. How about you? What is your progress on your English study?
Overall is good, but I stuck with English vocabularies. Do you have any idea on how to effectively memorize advanced vocabulary?
Absolutely. It can be quite challenging, but there are some strategies that can help. One approach is to create a study routine and stick to it consistently. By setting aside dedicated time each day to review and learn new words, you can make progress over time.
That sounds like a good idea. But how do you decide which words to focus on?
That's a great question. One way is to prioritize words that are commonly used in your field of interest or in the materials you're studying. You can also look for words that appear frequently in newspapers, books, or articles related to your area of expertise. This way, you'll be learning vocabulary that is relevant and practical.
I see. So once you've identified the words, how do you go about memorizing them?
Well, there are various techniques you can try. One popular method is using flashcards. You can write the word on one side and its definition or a sample sentence on the other. Reviewing these flashcards regularly helps reinforce your memory. Another technique is to create mnemonic devices, such as associating a word with a vivid image or creating a story around it. These techniques can make the learning process more engaging and memorable.
That's interesting. But what about retaining the words in the long term? How do you make sure you don't forget them?
Good question. It's important to regularly review the words you've learned. Spaced repetition is a technique that involves reviewing words at increasing intervals over time. This helps reinforce your memory and prevents forgetting. Additionally, using the words actively in your writing and speaking can help solidify them in your long-term memory.
I'll give that a try. But sometimes it feels overwhelming to learn so many new words. Any tips for managing that?
Absolutely. It's important to break down your learning into manageable chunks. Instead of trying to learn a large number of words at once, focus on a smaller set of words each week. This way, you can give them the attention they deserve and avoid feeling overwhelmed. Also, try to make learning vocabulary fun by incorporating games, quizzes, or even conversations with others who are also interested in expanding their vocabulary.
Thank you for all your advice. I'm really excited to start implementing these strategies into my vocabulary learning journey. By the way, do you have any interesting or funny stories related to memorizing advanced vocabulary?
I remember one time when I was preparing for a language exam, and the word onomatopoeia came up. It's not an easy word to forget, but to make it even more memorable, I associated it with the sound of a sizzling hot pan. Whenever I encountered a word that embodied a sound, I would imagine that sizzle, and it helped me recall the term every time. It made studying a lot more entertaining.
Oh, that's hilarious. I can totally imagine the sound of the sizzling pan whenever you encountered words like buzz or crack. It must have made the whole process more enjoyable.
Finding ways to make learning engaging and fun is key. Actually, another technique I used was creating mnemonic stories. Once, I was trying to remember the word serendipity, meaning a fortunate or unexpected discovery. So, I imagined a story where a character named Sarah stumbled upon a hidden treasure while walking along the beach. Every time I thought of serendipity, I thought of Sarah and her lucky find.
Adding a narrative element makes the words come alive in your mind. Plus, it helps to connect emotions to the words, making them more memorable.
Exactly. Emotions play a significant role in memory retention. That's why I often try to associate new vocabulary with moments in my life. For example, if I learned a word during a trip to the zoo, I would mentally revisit that experience whenever the word crossed my mind, and it helped solidify my memory of it.
I love how you're using personal experiences to anchor the words in your memory. It adds a unique touch to the learning process.
Thank you. Personal connections can make a world of difference. It's also worth mentioning that having a diverse range of sources for vocabulary exposure can be helpful. Reading books, listening to podcasts, or watching movies in different genres can introduce you to a broader range of words and contexts.
Good point. Variety is key when expanding our vocabulary. I'll definitely explore different forms of media to expose myself to diverse vocabulary.
Remember, language learning should be a journey of exploration and growth. Don't be afraid to venture outside your comfort zone and embrace the beauty of words. With patience, practice, and a touch of creativity, you'll enhance your vocabulary skills and open yourself up to endless possibilities.
Thank you so much for your encouragement. By the way, I've been thinking about incorporating some unconventional methods into my vocabulary learning routine. Have you ever heard of any unusual techniques that have worked for people?
Oh, absolutely. People have come up with some fascinating ways to boost their vocabulary. One method called spaced repetition involves reviewing words at gradually increasing intervals to reinforce memory. It's like exercising your brain muscles in the most efficient way.
That is intriguing. So, you'd review the words regularly but space out the intervals each time?
Yes, exactly. For example, if you learn a new word today and review it tomorrow, then you might review it again in a few days, followed by weeks or months later. This technique takes advantage of the brain's tendency to remember things better when information is revisited at specific intervals.
It's almost like creating a personalized language workout routine for our brains. I'll definitely give spaced repetition a try.
Another interesting technique I've come across is using word association maps. It involves connecting words visually through mind maps or diagrams. For instance, if you learn the word ephemeral, you can link it to related words like fleeting, transient, or even visualize it as a butterfly emerging from its cocoon for just a short time.
Wow, Creating visual connections between words can help stimulate the imaginative part of our brain, making the vocabulary more memorable.
Yes, our brains love visual cues, and they can be powerful memory triggers. Plus, it adds an element of fun and creativity to the learning process.
Speaking of fun, have you ever heard of wordplay as a method to learn vocabulary? I've read about people using puns, rhymes, and even creating their own silly sentences to remember words.
Oh, of course. Wordplay has been used for centuries as a playful way to remember and understand vocabulary. It taps into our sense of humor and helps us create strong mental connections to words. For example, to remember the word ambidextrous, you could make up a silly sentence like, "The ambidextrous octopus played the piano with all 8 tentacles."
Haha, that's hilarious. I can totally see how that would make the words stick in your memory. I'll have to come up with some witty puns and sentences of my own.
Great idea. You'll be surprised at how effective wordplay can be. It not only helps memorize individual words, but also encourages a playful mindset, making the learning experience more enjoyable.
I'm getting more excited by the minute. Trying out these unconventional techniques seems like a fun adventure. Thank you for sharing these ideas with me.
You're very welcome. Remember, learning should be an enjoyable journey, so explore and experiment with these methods. And don't hesitate to reach out if you need more inspiration along the way. Happy exploring, and may your vocabulary bloom like a beautiful garden of words.